Welcome, everyone. I'm Blake from Seelbach, and we are back with another big week. We say it every week, but we're closing out the 12 days of Christmas this week, so really excited. Man, just a lot of stuff to jump into with this week's of releases. So, Brian, I hope you're ready. Are you ready to close out the 12 days? It's been a
You know,
whirlwind.
if only it could go another 12, Blake. If only it could go another 12.
Do you have heart attack in your plans of 2025? Is that what you're feeling? And no.
The last 2 years felt busy but manageable. And this definitely reminds me of the Jim Gaffigan joke about having another baby. And it's like you're in the
Yeah, yeah,
ocean and and they
yeah.
hand you another baby or whatever.
Imagine you're drowning and somebody hands you a child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It feels a little bit like that. But again, the releases are so good that it's like y- it, it, it's kind of tough, but you like doing it because you're excited for everything coming out. So it's really
No,
fun.
that is for sure. The reward is there, so we're excited about that. And we really did. I mean, I feel like we scheduled this 12 Days of Christmas release out really nicely, um, with some of our heavy hitters and personal favorites coming this last week of the 12 days. But yeah, let's jump in. So
Mhm.
a lot of you may notice today we have a release, which is the Nashville Barrel Company. It's a 9-year bourbon finished in maple. Nashville Bourbon Company is going to be nothing new to Seelbach. We do a lot of their barrels. They always move well. They have just incredible bourbon. They do a great job of sourcing and selection of barrel picks. But the first maple we've ever done from them,
Mhm.
you don't see a lot. It's not a finish that they've done a ton of. Thinking back, I know we did the cigar finish. We did what was it, like a
The
hickory
hickory.
finish at one? Yeah,
Yeah.
which was really cool. But yeah, I think you picked this one. Did you pick this one live or was this from samples?
So I picked this one from samples, and I had a whole bunch of things just kind of getting ready for. It was like a process for the next round of tasting things. But when I tried this and I knew that we had 12 days coming up, I said, I think this would be a fun thing to include in that. And you're right about them not doing very much. I think that when I asked them, they've probably done less than 10 single barrels
Mm.
of maple, and this should be the first one that's Kentucky. So I'm
Oh,
looking
cool.
forward to this one hitting. For
And it's a
folks
really
who
good age on a maple finish. You don't see a ton in that 9-year range.
Absolutely. And so the way that I say talk about this pour too, for anyone who tried, or I mean, you might have missed out too, but we had a recent 7 year that I called Annie Ann. It was this
Mm.
nice, like drinkable, slightly warm, but kind of just like it's hard, like slightly nutty, creamy, kind of reminded me of like a big buttery Annie Ann's pretzel. And so we called it Annie Ann. And this one is like if you go to Annie Ann's and you get the cinnamon sugar pretzel. So a
Ooh,
little bit of
that's
caramel, a little bit of that cinnamon sugar, but but it still has that familiar bottom base note, like in
hmm
that Annie Ann pick. And yeah, I think this is a pretty fun one. And while it has some sweeter tones to it, I don't think it's an overly done finish.
hmm
So it's not going to be one of those ones that scare people who are like, I'm not into finished. I think if you want something that's got high age, but you don't like a lot of age present necessarily, and you want to dabble in like a unique finish that kind of just smooths it out a little bit, this is going to be a really, really fun one.
Yeah, that's always interesting on a lot of these maple finishes is I've had a lot that, and obviously we use maple finishing in some of the Sealbox private reserves, but it doesn't add like a super like cloyingly sweet note the majority of the time, which is somewhat surprising. I think I'm always expecting just to get hit with like a sugar bomb, and that's usually not the case. And I'm sure unless people are adding their own maple syrup to the barrels, um, they're just pretty dry barrels and they just add this like rounded, like you said, that brown sugary kind of sweetness, and not like, oh, this drinks like syrup, which is always good. So excited for that one releasing today. We'll link it here in the email for the Sunday review email. And yeah, I doubt those ones will last long, as with most things NBC. Next
Mhm.
up for Monday, we've got Kay Lucas back. One of our favorite ones. Jonathan over there does an incredible job blending. One of the more awarded brands I think we have. They seem to just always crush it at every award show they enter. So we've got the barrel strength bourbon. This is batch 14 of the bourbon. Just always a great one. I think we kind of talk about them a lot with like Four Roses style of blending, where it's fruity and spicy and a lot of the same notes that people love with the K. Luke. And then we also have a Sauternes finished rye, which Sauternes is technically like a dessert wine, a sweeter wine. And so I'm excited for that one as well. It's just half of a barrel. It was a private barrel that we split with somebody, and should be really great. Sauternes does. I feel like it's one of those where it's like this brighter, sweeter wine, and blending that or finishing that with a rye whiskey, it kind of just balances out some of the spice and uniqueness of it. And so it'll be the first single barrel we've received from K. Luke, so that should be a great one.
So this is also a little bit unique because for anyone who's watching just wants to know how the playbook is, they skipped over batch 13. So we went from 12 to 14. So you didn't miss a batch 13 if you've been keeping up.
Is that like, elevators at a hotel? They don't do batch 13?
Exactly. But on that note comes, exactly. So this is not the anyway, but there's two facts that come with this. One, it's their first age stated batch. So I think this is like 8 to 12 years old is what he has. Someone might want to check the pages or like online for that. I don't know specifically, but I'm pretty sure it's a minimum of 8. And then we also don't have a lot of it. So it's a smaller batch in general this year. So, if you want it, you might not want to be on the fence about it. You might want to kind of make a decision. But this rye, I love this rye. So I thought I was pretty tied up with a lot of the things that were going to be on my lists for end of the year finish, but I'll make a couple of call outs. If you believed me when I called the one Nashville Barrel rye that we did Thirst Quencher because it tasted like lemon lime Gatorade, this Sauternes rye is like grape Gatorade or grape Kool-Aid. I mean, it is full of flavor.
Like it's not Mountain Berry. What's the name of the grape Gatorade? It's or maybe it is just grape Gatorade.
Arctic Breeze,
Arctic Blast, or
if you know what it is, jump down below, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and let us know what that flavor of Gatorade is.
We have so many releases this week. We didn't even hit them with hey, subscribe, like,
smash the like
comments.
Button. Yeah. Glacial Berry, is that what it is? Glacial Berry? I don't know. It's probably not. That's probably like a whitish blue. But it is an absolute flavor monster. So for folks who liked that kind of, still got that rye character to it, but if you were a fan of the boysenberry mead finish rye that we did, if you were a fan of Thirst Quencher, if you're a fan of like the Premier Drams ryes, I mean, it is crazy. The 2 times I've tried it, I've almost landed on the floor just like, I can't believe something has this kind of flavor.
How is this possible?
I messaged Jonathan about it afterwards. I was like, man, this rye is wild. He's like, yeah, I really liked the balance of this one with the barrel and the rye. I said, Jonathan, this is the furthest thing from balanced. It is so intensely flavored. Yeah, so it's a really, really fun pour. I don't know what the reception. I would hope it does well. Like you said, it's the first of their cask finishing barrels that we've offered. There's only like 100 and something, maybe not even that. I don't remember, but dude, it is delicious. I love this barrel so much.
Yeah, not a lot of bottles on each of those. So, but great ones to have. It's 12 days. We got to hit everybody with the big guns. So
absolutely
should be a great one. And speaking of big ones or big guns, our first Old Commonwealth release, we have a Kentucky Nectar barrel pick, which Brian, you went to their distillery to pick this. And if you don't know, Old Commonwealth is a newer brand. They've kind of been in the works for a while. They have a lot of labels that they revive, historic labels. They bring back the story, put great liquid in the bottle. And until now, we haven't had any to sell on Seelbach. And I know they've had some really popular ones, especially in the whiskey collectors and enthusiast crowds on social media. And so it's a I don't believe they give us the age statement on the bourbon, but they finish it in honey barrels, Kentucky bourbon. It's a wheated bourbon, and may not be the full story for today because of time. But I know you had a lot of fun on this pick, and it turned out to be a super interesting one. You want to jump into some of that, or just leave that for the email and tease it out?
I would love to jump into some of it, but there's a lot to get through. There is a unique story to this one. I guess the best way of saying, if we wanted to be short about it, is it's the first Kentucky Nectar like this, and I think that the product is better for it. So I think it's going to be really well received. And I was glad to bring it on here because I didn't know how far they've stretched. Like, I hear people in Kentucky talking about it because of Kentucky retailers, but I don't really know how far their products go. So for anyone who's been looking for, a Kentucky Nectar, now's gonna be your time.
Yeah, I know we get a ton of inquiries about, hey, when are you going to get Kentucky Nectar? When are you get it other Old Commonwealth bottles? So fun to be able to roll that out this week. And yeah, this is the a one of one kind of a pick. So
and I will say too, I say recently, a couple months ago, I did do a video about honey finished whiskeys, bourbons, or rye. I think it was about bourbons specifically. But I kind of polled people too. I kind of did a roundup of some honey finishes that we've offered so far. But when I polled people, like, what is your favorite honey finished whiskey? It came down to two things. It was Short Barrel's Bee's Knees, and it was Kentucky Nectar. So this is one of two, and we know that Bee's Knees is widely popular. So this is one of two things that I know a lot of people are going after. So we'll be real excited to see the response to that one.
Yeah, for sure. And then on Wednesday, we're not even to Thursday yet. On Wednesday, the only guest appearance we've had on our Sunday review email or videos is Sean Joseph's from Pinhook. We have our 10-year single barrel. So you may remember, probably 2 months ago or so, I believe it was September, we released the 10-year vertical, which is Bourbon War. Every year they allocate so many barrels of that vertical to retailers and groups. And so we have our 10-year version. This one's fantastic. It's a barrel that I picked a few months ago now. And it's 10-year MGP bourbon that's been aging in Kentucky, like just really fantastic pours. They're doing a great job. Sean is always great about going through the barrels and making sure it is special barrels that make it to the single barrel program. All the great things you expect from a 10-year-old bourbon. There is some oak influence, but still this just nice caramelly kind of warmer spice notes. So it was one that, sometimes you sit down with samples and you're like, I need to go back and forth and which one do I like best? And this one was like, well, first pass through, there's a winner. So not that the other ones weren't good, but it was just kind of an obvious choice of how good it was. So I'm excited for that one, and would be interested how many people are collecting these verticals. So we are on, what would that be, the 7th year of single barrels for these? Does anybody have all 7? That would be a fun tasting to do, is just go through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, they may have started with 5 with bourbon, but to just go through and try and see how that has progressed over the years in the single barrel versions. We're going to do a small release of the Bourbon War as well. We're trying to get more in. We got some in. So I know that it sold out in September. Good to have a little bit back, but we do have the single barrel to go with it. Should make for a fun release.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't remember when this one got picked or who had done it, because I remember when we all collectively at the Christmas party last year did some Pinhook tastings, and I don't think we ever used the video clips that I put together for that. So even though that wasn't when we picked this particular
you're not
barrel,
supposed to say that. You gave up that. Yeah.
Well, you already said that you picked it alone, so they're gonna be like, "Wow, he said he picked it alone this whole party."
All of a sudden, it's
So ignore everything that Blake said. We actually picked this at last year's Christmas. No,
we did this in January.
Anyway,
yeah.
But it will show you how how we fit picks into everything. Another video that I need to
Yep.
do is when we picked the Found North at the Vine Pair
Oh
Awards.
yeah.
Last year, there's a couple of videos, so we'll trickle some of those
That
out.
was like
No relation to this 10-year single barrel, but
the most influencer picked barrel of 2024, because everybody's there for the Vine Pair event, and we're just like passing around a 250 ml bottle saying like, all right, what do you think of this one? Okay, what
look, work never sleeps. You know what I'm saying? We got
Never,
barrels to
never.
pick. Speaking
That
of
that
picking
could be
barrels,
a
what's
that could be a
next?
good video of barrel picks in the wild, where it's just like
Mhm.
all these random places we end up picking at times.
I
Um,
gotta put that one down.
yeah,
Barrel picks in the wild.
but yeah, to lead the way into Thursday, I don't even know if I should be the one to introduce this. So I'll let you go with it and let them know
Yeah.
what's coming on Thursday.
So on Thursday I mean, I'm super excited for it, but what we're doing is the first, and it's we've kind of stripped it down to be small purposely for 12 days, but we are going to do the first batch of Bikey's Blue double oaked. Now, this is cool for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's the first blue corn double oaked that's going to be out in the market. And two, it kind of, the part that we have on the bottle where it says bottle for balance, and it has the drinker in mind, that does not necessarily mean that the proof is always going to be where it was last time. I did try and get that batch, it was around that 112 proof. We did that so that we could have something that would appease people who didn't like the big cask strengths, but also wanted something more than 100 proof. But this one, it's a 3-barrel blend. We have an unfinished barrel in there, as well as a Zach Cooperage finish and a Speyside finish barrel. And these were all tasty on their own, but the combination of them together just brings out these really unique layers. Talking even back about the hickory finish Nashville Barrel Company, or like giving some of those deep notes like we like from Kelvin type barrels. It has all of these types of flavors that are kind of mixed in with already those big, bold fruit and spice notes that we know from like the batch of Bikey's Blue. This is coming in. We did add a little bit of water to this one from where it was when they all mingled together, but I only did that because I just wanted to just soften it a touch. And I love this profile. I'm not an enormous double oaked fan. I like what they can do, but I don't necessarily always like the execution of how people do that, and like all these big leathery oaky type bombs. And I think this has got just a lot of really, really fun flavor. Everyone I've let try has been a really big fan of it. So I'm super, super excited to just see the response to it. Not just because it's a Bikey product, but because it changes the evolution a little bit of the brand. I mean, it's what, like 119, something like that proof. So it punches a bit higher, but has great drinkability, I think, still. And I think it's going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is incredible. Like I know that obviously you're here, so I'm not gonna
I'll
just be
leave.
too
I'll
nice
just
about
I'm
it.
gonna leave.
I'm not gonna be too nice about it, but the blend turned out fantastic, and I know we started going through those just the different samples, because we had some variations on different finishing barrels, finished, unfinished, of how we could take it. Yeah, so we had a few different single barrel, or we had quite a few single barrels, then a few different variations of double oaking. So putting that blend together, and man, this thing it's like custardy. It is all those dried fruit notes that I loved from the first Bikeys. And honestly, even though it's 119 as opposed to 112, I think just with that double oaking, it drinks just as good at 119, or just as soft, I guess I would say, as it did at 112. Because it had an extra 5-6 months of aging on it, as well as the double oaking, and just an incredible one. So I feel like this is like the perfect storm of a whiskey release, because it's fun. The bottle looks great. The whiskey is incredible. It's a cool story with, your family connection, the blue corn. It's like, what else do you want in a release when we're trying to write stories and create interest on Seelbach? Is like we kind of have every component we could possibly want with this one. So I'm excited for it. The
I'll
big
say this
question
here.
is,
Oh, go ahead.
does the corn soup come back this week? Is there
Hey,
another?
look, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know that I have time for the corn soup to come back this week for this. I would love it, but I am running out of time to do
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
But I will say this one, I don't think this will make it in the email, so I'll just throw it out here. This one was kind of funny because we had tasted through all the barrels and double oaks and not double oaks recently when I was down in Jacksonville. And then I pulled a box full of various samples that I earmarked for batch 2, for double oak, for all these things. And I was talking to you about it, right? We were trying to figure out whether we were going to connect and go do dinner or something like that. And I was in the hotel room. I was talking to Kristen. The samples were in the car. I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to do. She's like, well, if you're not doing anything, you could just get up and start blending. I was like, okay, all right. So I went out and I spent the next couple hours just kind of working through some stuff. But I even had called my buddy Nick just to kind of like go through. I was like, I think he understands the way that I put flavors together. Like I talk about flavors and the way I put them together. And he was with another buddy, but apparently I was like, well, I don't know when to interrupt. And the guy's like, no. And we're like, what are you're blending some stuff? What do you want? And I'm like, okay. They put me on speaker. I was like, well, okay. Well, let me talk you through like how I would describe these blends.
Here's what we got. Yeah.
But it's really funny because the blend there's a blend that I described and they're like, that sounds like the type of blend that I would want. And then the next morning when we tried them all as blinds, come to find out that was the one that we decided to go with. So shout out to them from doing a remote help on dialing this blend in.
I think we call it, the wife's batch or the community batch. We wouldn't have been in the good spot we were the next morning unless Kristen had said, like, Brian, get to work. Like, what are you doing? Just
yeah.
I mean, we had at 8:30, but start blending.
Yeah, we had a pretty tight turnaround the next morning. I really don't think if I got started on anything, we would have come away with any of these products. So, probably for the better.
I don't know. I'll just start mailing you samples, and
Exactly.
no, that was a fun one to try through. And yeah, the end result speaks for itself. So I'm excited to see people start to drink that one, and it's I think there's going to be a lot of great feedback there. Yeah, so as we are approaching maybe our longest Sunday review video, we got one more release to close out the 2025 12 Days of Whiskey at Seelbach's, and it is the return of the Seelbach's 15 year. Calling it, so it's actually 16 years, 8 months. It's 117.5 proof. Calling it last call because most likely it won't return in 2026. We have a few other things working. I won't give out any spoilers for 2026, but definitely the last batch of 2025, and most likely the last batch of the 15 year for some time. But this one ended up being a blend of 11 different barrels, same source as last time. Still the buff turkey barrels. They've continued to get older and turns out continue to increase in angel share. There's a couple of these started dumping, and it's like, well, that was a very quick barrel harvest. That did not take long to get all the liquid out of that one, but turned out great. I was doing notes on it yesterday, and it's just all the things that I've loved about the 15 year. It's a lot of dried fruit. It's a lot of black tea, a little bit of citrus. Like, it drinks really well, even at 117 proof. It's still like super fruity. There's not a ton of oak and leather in it. There's some to balance it out and more on the finish, but just turned out great. So I'm excited to close out the 12 days with that release, because it's always a popular one, and it's been about 6 months since we've had it. So should be a great way to close out our 2025.
What a stacked 12 days of whiskey this year.
And that's how you fit 7 releases in 7 days. Just
well, it's
like
not
that.
even that. It's that on top of the fact that some of the viewers too got the advent calendar. So we're running through the advent calendar. We're running lives for that. We've got the 12 days. I mean, it is it is a fun December as a whiskey enthusiast.
It is. No, I love seeing all the social media stuff with the advent calendar. I think it's just incredible content to have out there. So if you didn't get one this year, we will be back next year because you don't want to miss out on the fun because that thing has just been great. Probably keeping us for longer days because we're doing some live tastings with them but it's fun to just try new things. And it's like, I can't tell you how many people have been or have told me, I wanted to try that, but I just didn't know if it was worth grabbing a bottle for. But now that I got the sample, I got to find a bottle. And so if you're interested in exploring and everything, the Advent calendar is great for that. But, not that we're just shutting down for the year after the 12th. We still have
We certainly are not.
some weeks to come after that. Some really cool releases the following week. But it will at least slow down slightly. But no, that'll do it for this week. So let us know. We got 7 releases in 7 days. What are you most excited about? Would love to hear from everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for tuning in this whole time. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what I don't even know what to say. I don't even know
Look
what
forward
to
to
say.
seeing to try to figure out what day it is and what we're supposed to be doing right now. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, everybody.